Hey folks, let me tell you something straight from the heart. You walked away. You did the thing that took courage, the thing everyone tells you will flip the story around. You finally stopped begging for their attention. You finally stopped being the one to call, to text, to reach out. You decided enough was enough. But here's what stings. They didn't come running. They didn't show tears. They didn't post a message about missing you. No, instead, they looked fine. Some of you even see them smiling with someone else. They look unaffected, and now that seed of doubt creeps in. You sit there thinking, did I make a mistake? Did I lose them for good? Did they never love me at all? My friends, that is the biggest illusion you will ever face. That smile they flash, that calm front they present. It is a mask. It is not the truth. Let me hit you with a hard quote you should never forget. Indifference is the performance, not the reality. People act strong when they feel weak. People act happy when they feel the loss creeping in. It's like a poker player bluffing with nothing in his hand, yet pretending he owns the table. What you're seeing right now is their bluff, and your doubt is exactly what they want you to feel. Obsession doesn't start on day one. It doesn't start the moment you close the door. It builds slowly, quietly, like water pressing against a dam. At first, the surface looks calm, no cracks, no signs of weakness. But underneath, the pressure builds. Every day, every hour, the silence you give them pushes that pressure higher. And one day, my friends, the dam will burst. That's when the obsession begins. That's when they realize your absence is not a game, it is real. Think about it this way. When you stop eating sugar, the first day or two, you feel fine, you feel strong, maybe even proud. But wait a week, and the cravings come hard. You dream of it, you imagine it, you start seeing it everywhere. That's how the human mind works. It doesn't miss something instantly. It misses it when the habit, the comfort, the sweetness is truly gone. You were that sweetness in their life. You were that presence they took for granted. And right now, they're only in the first days without it. They can fake calm, but the craving is coming. This is where Stoicism kicks in. A Stoic doesn't panic when nothing happens immediately. A Stoic understands timing. A Stoic knows the universe works with patience, not instant reward. Your job now is not to chase, not to crack, not to question yourself. Your job is to sit in control, calm as stone, and let their mask crumble on its own. Because it will. Always remember, no one escapes the truth of missing someone who gave them real presence. They will feel it. They will crack. They will wonder why you're not chasing, and that question will become their obsession. So don't fall for the lie, folks. Don't believe the performance of indifference. The truth is underneath, and it is building every day. You are not losing them. You are becoming the ghost in their mind, the thought that returns stronger the more they try to push it away. And when that moment comes, they will feel it harder than you ever did. That is the power of detachment. That is the strength you hold now. So, my friends, stay calm, stay patient. Do not let the mask they wear fool you. Their silence is not strength, it is struggle. It is them wrestling with the loss of something they thought they could control. And while they fight to keep that mask on, you sit steady, you sit powerful, because the truth is already working in your favor. Now listen, this is the part where I want you to claim your power. Not tomorrow, not later, right now. I want you to write it in the comments so it sinks into your bones and echoes back into your life. The words are simple but unshakable. I am unforgettable. Type it out. Let your own eyes see it. Let your own heart feel it. That's how you anchor this truth, not just as an idea, but as who you are. And if you felt even one line today hit you in the chest, then don't just sit back. Hit the like button, subscribe, and lock in with me, because we're building something here. We're not just talking about heartbreak. We're turning heartbreak into power, rejection into obsession, silence into strength. And trust me, this is only the beginning. Stay with me, folks. The best part is yet to come. Number 1. Why they look unaffected, the mask stage. My friends, let's sit with the truth for a moment. You walked away, and instead of breaking down, instead of chasing, instead of reaching out, they looked calm. Maybe they even looked happier. Maybe they posted a picture, smiling with friends, or worse, with someone new. To you, it feels like a punch in the chest. You start asking yourself, did I matter at all? Did they ever feel anything? If they can move on this easily, does that mean I was nothing to them? And I know those thoughts eat at you in silence. But here's what you need to understand. What you're looking at is not reality, it is a performance. Their calm is not real calm. Their indifference is not truth. Their smile is not peace. It is a mask, and that mask is built on pride, ego, and fear. Carl Jung once said, what you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. That's exactly what's happening here. When they put on that front, when they act unaffected, what they're really doing is resisting the chaos they feel inside. They don't want to admit to themselves, or to you, that losing your attention hit them harder than they want to believe. So instead, they resist. They distract themselves with noise, with people, with pride. But the more they resist it, the stronger it becomes. They are like someone holding their breath underwater, trying to prove they can last forever. For a few seconds, they look fine. For a minute, they might even look proud. But eventually, the lungs scream, the chest burns, and they have no choice but to gasp. That gasp, my friends, will come. But here's the trick their mask plays on your mind. You see them looking composed, and you assume that's the truth. You assume they're genuinely happy. You assume they don't miss you at all. That is where most people break. That's when you start reaching out again, apologizing, trying to fix what isn't yours to fix. And that's the exact mistake that gives all your power back to them. Remember, folks, Stoicism is not about controlling what other people show you. It's about mastering your own perception of it. Just because they present calm doesn't mean they are calm. Just because they smile doesn't mean they are happy. Stoicism teaches us to look beyond appearances, to see the root of human behavior. Ask yourself this. If they were truly unaffected, why are they working so hard to look unaffected? Why the need to post constantly? Why the sudden energy to prove their life is perfect? Why the little digs, the little shows, the little acts of pride? Real peace is silent. Real indifference doesn't announce itself. If they truly didn't care, you wouldn't see this performance. They'd move quietly. They wouldn't need an audience. The fact that they are showing you calm is the very evidence that it is not real calm at all. Think of it like a house with a fresh coat of paint on the outside. You walk past and it looks polished, solid, perfect. But you don't see the cracks in the foundation, the leaks in the roof, the termites chewing at the beams. That's their soul right now. The mask of indifference is the paint. The truth is the decay underneath. And the longer you stay detached, the faster those cracks show. They can't hold that mask forever. No one can. But this is where it gets difficult for you, because while they're hiding behind that mask, you're the one left with unanswered questions. You're the one left doubting your value. You're the one staring at their calm, asking yourself, Am I losing them forever? Did I do the wrong thing by walking away? And here's where I want to stop you, because those questions are illusions. They are traps designed by your own fear. You are not losing them, you are watching them act. You are not forgotten, you are hidden inside the silence of their struggle. They just don't want to show it. You've got to understand something profound. Humans rarely show their first reaction to loss. They bury it, they deny it, they try to play it cool. But deep inside, the loss is already working on them. Jung spoke of the shadow, the part of us we suppress, the part we deny. When you walked away, you became their shadow. They will push it down, they will deny it, they will wear the mask. But the shadow never disappears. It grows, it lurks, and sooner or later it demands to be faced. That is you. You are not gone. You are simply hidden in their shadow, growing heavier each day they try to pretend. Now let's make this practical. Imagine someone holding a glass of water with their arm stretched out. At first, it feels fine. After a minute, it gets uncomfortable. After 10 minutes, it's painful. After an hour, the arm is screaming. That's their act right now. Holding up that mask is effort. Every day they pretend not to care. The glass gets heavier, and one day they'll have to drop it. And when they do, all that suppressed longing will flood back, stronger than ever. So, my friends, your task is not to get fooled by the mask. Your task is to remain calm, like the Stoic philosophers sitting in silence while others perform their chaos. You do not chase the mask. You do not argue with the mask. You let it crumble on its own, because it always does. Their ego can only buy them time, not truth. And the truth is, they are not unaffected. They are unsettled. They are disturbed. They are trying to escape the pull of your absence. But the more they resist it, the stronger it becomes. This is your moment to rise above the lies. This is your test. Do not let their performance shake your foundation. The stronger they act, the more you should know the mask is working overtime to hide the cracks. You hold the power now, not by forcing, not by chasing, but by trusting the unseen truth. Patience is your weapon. Detachment is your shield. And the day will come when they gasp for air, when the mask shatters, when the silence they mocked turns into the silence that haunts them. Remember this, their calm is not truth, it is effort. Their smile is not peace, it is cover. Their indifference is not real, it is resistance. Write this down in the comments right now. The mask will crack. Let those words burn into your mind. Let them remind you who you are and what power you hold. Number 2. The delayed effect. Obsession is not instant. My friends, let's clear something up that most people get wrong about this whole game. Obsession is not instant. It doesn't strike the second you walk away. You won't slam the door and hear them pounding on it 5 minutes later. That's not how human psychology works. At first, they may even look relieved. They may convince themselves they're finally free, that they can breathe without you. Just like after a heavy meal, the body feels satisfied. You don't crave food when you're full. But wait a few hours, and suddenly the hunger pangs come. Suddenly the body remembers what it's missing. That's how obsession works. It is not born in the moment of fullness. It arrives in the ache of emptiness that follows. When you walked away, you planted a fuse, not a spark that explodes instantly, but a delayed one. This is where so many people lose faith. You look at the silence, you look at their calm face, you look at the photos, and you think, it didn't work. They don't miss me, they don't care. But what you're really seeing is the beginning stage, the stage where the fuse is burning slowly. Nothing looks dramatic yet, but the charge is building. It's hidden, it's quiet, and it's inevitable. Think of it like someone giving up coffee. Day 1, they feel fine. They even brag, "I don't need it. I'm done." Day 2, they still carry that pride. But wait until day 3, day 4. Suddenly the headaches start, the fatigue hits, the craving knocks louder and louder. That's what's happening inside their mind right now. They thought they could live without your presence. They thought they'd be unaffected. But the silence is already seeping into their system, and every day it grows heavier. Here's the part that makes it difficult for you, my friends, because unlike them, you feel the hunger right away. You feel it the moment you stop talking. You're aware of the absence instantly. That's why it feels unfair. You're hurting now while they look fine. But that is not weakness on your side. That is strength, because you are facing reality head-on while they're still distracting themselves. You're processing the truth while they're postponing it. And sooner or later, truth always catches up. Carl Jung taught that what is unconscious will one day surface, often in the form of fate. Right now, they are pushing the unconscious thought of missing you down deep. They are distracting, hiding, pretending. But the unconscious never stays buried. It always breaks through. And when it does, it feels like fate. It feels sudden, dramatic, impossible to ignore. That's when the obsession erupts. That's when the fuse you planted finally hits the charge. Let me give you another way to picture it. Imagine a room filled with air freshener. At first, the smell is strong. You barely notice the air itself. But after an hour, the scent fades, and suddenly you realize the air feels empty, stale, lifeless. That's what your absence does. At first, they're intoxicated with pride, with distractions, with their little games. But pride fades. Distractions fade, new faces fade, and when it does, what's left is the stale silence you left behind. That's when your absence becomes loud. That's when the craving sets in. So don't let the early stages fool you. Obsession is like a shadow. It follows later, not immediately. And this is why detachment requires patience. A Stoic does not demand instant reward. A Stoic knows the fruit ripens only in time. Walking away is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the slow build. It is the hunger pangs waiting to hit, the headaches waiting to start, the fuse waiting to ignite. And when it does, it will hit them harder than it ever hit you. Stay strong in this stage. Don't let their performance convince you that nothing is happening. Something is happening. It's just happening where you can't see it yet. It's happening in the quiet corners of their mind, in the hours when the noise fades, in the mornings when they wake up and don't hear from you anymore. Every day of silence feeds the ache. Every day you don't reach out sharpens the hunger. And one day, my friends, it will break them. Remember this truth. Obsession is delayed, but it is certain. Write it down in the comments right now. The hunger will come. Let those words root inside you. Because the fuse is burning, the silence is working, and the day is coming when they will feel it with no escape. Number 3, the energy leak. They can still feel you holding on. My friends, let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes people make when they try to walk away. They stop calling, they stop texting, they cut off contact on the surface. But deep inside, they're still waiting. They're still checking social media, still stalking from the shadows, still hoping for that late-night message. On the outside, they've gone silent, but on the inside, they're screaming. And here's the truth most don't realize, that energy bleeds out. Even when you think you're hiding it, they can feel it. They sense it in the air, like a string still tied between you. It might be invisible, but it is real. You know how sometimes you can feel when someone is staring at you, even before you look up? That's energy. Humans are wired to pick it up. If you're still mentally chasing them, still replaying every conversation, still imagining their return, they will feel it in their bones. And when they sense you still holding on, they feel no fear of losing you. The string is still tied, and that keeps them comfortable. They know you're there, even in silence. This is why so many people say, "I walked away, but nothing changed." They think walking away means only cutting words, when in reality it means cutting energy. True detachment doesn't just silence your voice. It silences the pull they used to rely on. That's when everything shifts. That's when fear kicks in. Because when they reach out into the air, expecting to feel that string, and it's gone, that's when panic sets in. Carl Jung wrote about the unseen forces that connect human beings, the unconscious ties that shape behavior. This is what you're dealing with here. The string is unconscious, but it's powerful. As long as you're still emotionally feeding them, even in your thoughts, they won't feel the loss. You can't starve someone while secretly slipping food under the door. They'll never hunger. But when you stop entirely, when you cut it clean, that's when their hunger becomes unbearable. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a lamp plugged into the wall. The bulb is glowing, filling the room with light. If you want the light to die, you can't just cover the bulb. You have to pull the plug. That's detachment. Covering the bulb is walking away on the outside while still obsessing inside. Pulling the plug is when you truly withdraw your energy, when there is nothing left for them to feed on. And when the room goes dark, they notice. They can't ignore it. The challenge, my friends, is that this is not easy, because your heart wants to hold on, even when your hands have let go. You'll feel the pull to check their page, to ask mutual friends, to send just one more message. But every time you do, you are leaking energy. Every time you let them rent space in your head, you are feeding the connection. And so they stay comfortable, they stay unbothered, they stay blind to the hunger you want them to feel. But when you finally stop bleeding energy, when you cut the string they thought was permanent, that's when their calm breaks. Suddenly, they don't feel you anymore. Suddenly, they can't sense your eyes watching. Suddenly, they're not sure if you're still there. And uncertainty breeds fear. Fear breeds obsession. The same way a child panics when a parent hides during a game of peekaboo, it's not the absence itself that terrifies them, it's the not knowing. That's what you give them with true detachment, uncertainty. And that uncertainty is the birthplace of obsession. So ask yourself this, honestly, are you really detached, or are you just pretending? Are you walking away with your feet while your heart is still chasing? Because if you are, you're still feeding them, you're still keeping them safe. And safe people never feel hunger. Detachment is about risk. It's about letting go so completely that they are forced to question their grip on you. And once they start questioning, the obsession grows like a fire they cannot put out. Remember this truth: if you leak energy, they feel safe. If you cut the string, they feel fear. Write it down in the comments right now. I cut the string. That's your declaration. That's your power. Because once you do, they will no longer feel your presence propping them up. They will feel the emptiness, and in that emptiness, you will become unforgettable. Number 4. When replacements backfire. My friends, let's step into one of the most misunderstood parts of this journey, the replacements. You walk away, you stay silent, you practice detachment, and then suddenly you see them with someone else. Maybe they're posting pictures, maybe they're laughing in public, maybe they're flaunting this new person as if they've won, and that moment feels brutal. You think to yourself, they've already moved on. They found someone better. I've lost them forever. But let me tell you the truth with calm certainty. Replacements are not the end of your story. In fact, replacements almost always backfire. At first glance, a new partner looks like proof they're unaffected, but you've got to remember, human beings are creatures of pattern and memory. The brain never experiences anything new in isolation. It always compares. And every single small disappointment with this new person, every missed detail, every moment that doesn't measure up to the comfort you once gave, becomes a reminder of you. They may laugh at a new joke, but when the laughter feels a little emptier than yours, their mind runs back to you. They may share a meal, but when the food tastes bland compared to the nights they had with you, their memory replays you at the table. This is not you versus the new person. This is you versus their imagination of you. And here's the power in that. Imagination always wins. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And here's the twist. They can't accept this new partner completely because the shadow of you is still in the room. The shadow of what you gave, what you were, what you represented. They can pretend the new relationship is fulfilling, but the unconscious mind will not be silenced. It replays, it compares, it magnifies. The more they try to bury you under someone else, the more that person accidentally shines a spotlight on your absence. Think about it this way. Imagine breaking your favorite glass, one you drank from every day. You buy a replacement. It holds water, it works fine, but every time you lift it to your lips, it feels different. The weight isn't right, the rim isn't the same, the memories aren't there. You can use it, but you can't love it the same way. That's what a replacement is. Functional, yes. Fulfilling, no. And every sip is a reminder of the glass they lost. This is why rebound relationships almost always collapse. At first, they're filled with pride, adrenaline, the thrill of distraction. But over time, the mask drops and reality sets in. They start noticing the cracks. They start feeling the void. And worst of all for them, they start realizing that the new person cannot silence the ghost of you. That ghost becomes louder, not weaker, because it exists in memory, and memory is sharper than reality. And here's where the real irony lies. The more they try to use someone else to escape you, the more that very person becomes the trigger that keeps you alive in their mind. Every time the new partner fails, you win. Every time the new partner falls short, you rise. Because they're not fighting a real comparison. They're fighting an idea of you. And ideas are undefeated. The human mind has a way of polishing memory, of making the past glow brighter than the present. That's the battlefield they're on now. Not you versus them, but you versus imagination. And my friends, imagination always wins. So don't fear the replacements. Don't let their staged photos and fake smiles convince you that you've been erased. You haven't been replaced. You've been elevated into something greater than flesh and blood. You've become the standard, the ghost, the measuring stick no one else can live up to. And that is where your true power lies. Remember this truth: replacements are reminders, not erasers. Write it in the comments right now. They can't replace me. Let those words sink in, because every time they try, every time they reach for another face, another body, another laugh, they are only reminded of the one they can't forget: you. Number 5, the psychological loop of what if. My friends, let's sit with one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, the loop of what if. You may not realize it, but when you walked away, when you stopped explaining yourself, when you stopped fighting for clarity, you left behind something far stronger than any argument could ever deliver. You left behind a question mark. And if there's one thing people struggle with more than loss, it's the unanswered question. Humans can't stand mysteries. The mind hates loose ends. When something doesn't have closure, it doesn't just disappear, it circles back over and over, creating what I call the psychological loop of what if. Think about it. When they rejected you, when they dismissed you, when they cheated or betrayed you, they thought they had control of the story. They expected you to argue, to demand answers, to beg, to give them one last chance to feel powerful. But instead, you left in silence. You closed your side of the book without warning. And that silence has now become the loudest noise in their life. Because in their head, the questions keep repeating. Why did they stop caring? Why didn't they fight harder? Why didn't they come back? Did they find someone better? Did they finally realize their worth without me? These thoughts torment them more than your presence ever could. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's exactly what is happening inside their mind right now. Your silence pushed the truth into their unconscious, and it's directing their behavior. They won't admit it. They'll pretend not to care. But in quiet moments, when the distractions fade, when the mask slips, they feel the gnawing of the unanswered. They wonder what they missed, and their imagination starts to invent stories. Some of those stories hurt them more than reality ever could. Let me give you a simple metaphor. Imagine watching a movie that cuts off before the ending. You don't just forget it, you obsess. You Google theories, you replay scenes, you talk to friends, you imagine what might have happened. The lack of closure creates obsession. Now picture that same frustration, except this time the unfinished movie is you. You were the story they never got to finish. You are the ending they can't rewrite. And that what if burns deeper than any goodbye could. This is why chasing, begging, or explaining yourself is the worst mistake. The moment you explain, you give them closure. You hand them an answer, and the loop ends. But when you walk away with calm detachment, when you leave without tying the bow, you become their unsolved riddle. And riddles don't go away. They gnaw at the mind until they're solved. Except here's the catch. They can't solve this one. You're not giving them the answers, and that makes the obsession inevitable. Now, I know what you might be asking, but if they're stuck in this loop, why don't they just come back now? The answer is simple, my friends. Pride, ego, fear of looking weak. They want to act strong. They want to win the silent battle. But in that act, the loop only grows louder. Because every day they resist, the questions multiply. Every night they suppress, the thoughts resurface. And the more they try to deny it, the stronger it grows. This is how the human mind works. It cannot escape the pull of the unanswered. So don't think for a second that your silence went unnoticed. Don't believe the lie that nothing is happening. Something is happening. It's just happening inside their head where you can't see it yet. You've become the thought they can't put down, the mystery they can't solve, the unfinished book they'll never stop rereading. Remember this truth. Closure ends desire. Mystery fuels obsession. Write it in the comments right now. I am the mystery. That is your affirmation. That is your strength. Because by refusing to explain, you became unforgettable. Number 6. The ego collapse. They lose their role in your story. My friends, let's go even deeper into the psychology of what happens when you detach. This part is crucial because it reveals why the very foundation of their ego begins to shake the moment you stop orbiting around them. You see, for as long as they had your attention, they built their identity around control. They were the one who could reject you. They were the one who decided when to answer your texts, when to give you scraps of affection, when to pull you in, and when to push you away. In their mind, they were the sun, and you were the planet. You circled them, you gave them warmth, you gave them validation. Their power came from knowing you needed them more than they needed you, or at least that's the story they told themselves. But then something happened. You stepped away. You stopped playing the role they had cast you in. Suddenly, they weren't the sun anymore. Suddenly, they weren't the one dictating the rules. And here's the brutal truth. Without that role, their ego begins to collapse. Who are they, if not the one you chase? Who are they, if not the one you beg for attention? Their identity was tied to being wanted, to being needed, to being in control. Strip that away, and what's left? An empty stage where their pride once stood. Carl Jung taught us that the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents. But let's apply that wisdom here. The greatest burden they must bear now is the unlived story they wrote for you. They had a script in their mind where you played the role of the desperate one, the one who would never leave, the one who would always come back, no matter how many times they slammed the door. When you detach, you rip up that script. You don't just walk away from the stage, you burn it down. And now they have no role, no story, no identity tied to you. And that collapse is devastating. Think about an actor who has played the same role for years. They know the lines, they know the moves, they know the applause. But suddenly, the play ends, and no one is casting them anymore. They don't know who they are outside of that character. They feel lost, irrelevant, forgotten. That's exactly what happens when you detach. They played the role of the one in power, and now that role is gone. And when identity collapses, obsession rises to fill the void. This is why you often see them suddenly acting out when you detach. They might post more, they might flaunt new people, they might try to provoke you into reacting. Why? Because they're scrambling to rebuild that role. They're desperate for proof that you still orbit them, that you're still watching, that they still matter. But when you remain calm, when you don't give in, when you don't feed the role, the collapse deepens. And with it, their obsession with you intensifies. Here's the part you must understand, my friends. Obsession doesn't come only from love, it comes from loss of control. When someone feels like they no longer have a role in your story, they start to crave it. They replay the past, they wonder where they went wrong, they try to imagine if you've written a new story with someone else. That not knowing eats at them. And the ego, once so inflated, now feels like a balloon deflating in silence. So don't fear their calm, don't fear their prideful performance. See it for what it is, the final act of someone who just realized they no longer get to write the script. You've taken the pen back, and with it, their entire identity shakes. And that shaking is the soil where obsession grows. Remember this truth. When their ego collapses, your power rises. Write it in the comments right now. I own the story, because you do. By detaching, you've taken back the role, the power, and the control they thought was theirs forever. Number 7. The return of the ghost. How you haunt them without trying. My friends, let's slow down here and look at something powerful, something they will never admit to you but will feel again and again. Over time, your image starts to reappear in their daily life, not because you're chasing, not because you're reminding them, but because silence has a way of echoing louder than words. At first, they think they're free. they distract themselves, they keep busy, they laugh, they pretend you've vanished. But detachment is not about reminding them of you, it's about becoming the ghost they cannot shake. Here's the strange beauty of this stage. When you stop showing up, you stop being just a person in their mind. You become a myth, you become an idea. And ideas, my friends, are far more haunting than flesh and blood. A person can be ignored, blocked, muted. But an idea? An idea follows them everywhere. It creeps into their mornings when they reach for their phone and don't see your name. It lingers at night when the noise dies down and they remember how you once said good night. It hides in the small things. The song you once loved together, the food you introduced them to, the way you folded your arms when you were annoyed. Suddenly, you're not gone. You're everywhere. Carl Jung spoke often of archetypes, the universal images that live in the collective unconscious, and whether they realize it or not, you've become their archetype of love, of comfort, of validation. That's why detachment works so deeply. You're no longer just someone they dated. You're not just a memory. You're the ghost of an idea that they can't replace. You've been mythologized in their mind, and that myth becomes larger than life. Think about the legends of people long gone. Why do stories of them grow stronger as years pass? Because distance sharpens memory. Because absence allows imagination to polish the edges. That's what's happening to you right now. The fights, the flaws, the small irritations, they begin to fade. The mind doesn't hold on to those the same way. What lingers are the highs, the warmth, the unique presence you brought. And slowly, without even realizing it, they begin to glorify you. The person they once rejected becomes the ghost they can't forget. It happens in habits too. They go to pour their coffee and remember how you used to take yours. They hear a joke and remember how you would have laughed louder. They watch a movie and remember how you'd point out the plot holes. Every little daily act becomes a trigger. And the cruel irony for them is this: the more they try to erase you, the more the ghost returns stronger. Silence has a way of sharpening your presence, not weakening it. Now let me tell you why this is so powerful. When you detach, you're not chasing, you're not feeding, you're not reminding them. And that's exactly why the ghost grows, because it's not being pushed, it's being pulled from the inside. You haunt them not because you try, but because they can't stop pulling you into their thoughts. You've gone from flesh to phantom, from memory to myth, and that transformation makes you unforgettable. And maybe you've wondered, but why would they think of me now after all this time? Because human nature doesn't let go of the unresolved. Because the story you shared didn't end with a clean bow. It ended with silence. And silence echoes. It's the pause in the song that makes people lean in. It's the shadow in the room that makes people turn around. That's you now. You are the shadow. You are the pause. You are the ghost they carry with them, even when they swear they've moved on. So don't mistake their distractions for peace. Don't believe their smiles. Behind closed doors, in the quiet moments, your image returns. Stronger, sharper, brighter. And that's when the obsession begins. Not when you're in front of them, but when you're gone and yet somehow everywhere. Remember this truth. Absence makes you a myth. Silence makes you a ghost. Write it down in the comments right now. I am unforgettable. Claim it. Anchor it. Because that is your power now. Number 8. Why they always circle back. My friends, let's bring this all home. After everything we've broken down, the mask, the delayed effect, the energy leaks, the failed replacements, the loop of what if, the collapse of their ego, and the ghost you've become, There's one final truth that cannot be ignored. They always circle back. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but the return is inevitable. And I don't say that as false hope. I say it because psychology, human nature, and the way memory works all point to the same outcome. Detachment doesn't just make them miss you, it rewires the very way they see you. At first, they thought you were ordinary. They thought you were replaceable, that you'd always be there, orbiting them. But when you walked away and held your ground, something shifted. You became the unresolved chapter of their life. And human beings can't stand unresolved stories. We can forget things that end cleanly, but we can't let go of what lingers unfinished. That's you now. You are the open door they never shut, the unanswered question, the mystery that keeps whispering in their mind when they least expect it. Over time, this silence shapes you into something even more powerful: rarity. In a world where everyone chases, where attention is cheap, where validation is everywhere, you stopped giving yours. That makes you priceless. You became the rare treasure, the one who could walk away and never look back, the one who proved they didn't need to beg for love. And scarcity, my friends, creates value. The rarer something is, the more the mind attaches to it. That's why ancient coins are worth more than the cash in your wallet. That's why the discontinued item on the shelf becomes the one everyone wants. And that's why your detachment cements you as irreplaceable in their mind. But it doesn't stop there. You became a ghost, the kind that lingers in quiet moments, in songs, in familiar places, in habits they can't break. Ghosts don't knock on the door. Ghosts don't call or text. Ghosts don't beg for attention, and yet they are always there. That's what you've turned into for them. Not a living reminder they can mute, but a haunting presence they can't control. And the more they resist it, the stronger it grows. This is why, no matter how many distractions they chase, no matter how many people they try to use as replacements, they always circle back. Because every road they take eventually leads to the same dead end. The realization that no one matches the standard you set. The imagination of you, the myth of you, the ghost of you, it outlives every new face, every new body, every new smile. They can run to 10 different people, but in each one, they'll see your shadow. In each one, they'll measure what's missing. And slowly, piece by piece, their pride crumbles, and the pull toward you grows too heavy to resist. This isn't about them missing attention. If it were just attention, they could get it anywhere. It's about them missing you, the way you made them feel, the security they didn't appreciate until it vanished, the role they played in your story that no longer exists, the identity that collapsed the day you stopped orbiting them. You are not just another chapter. They can't flip past you. You are the unresolved one, the rare one, the ghost who never left. So don't get fooled by time. Don't think silence means failure. Don't think new partners mean you've been erased. Psychology doesn't work that way. Memory doesn't work that way. Detachment doesn't just make them miss you. It guarantees their return. Maybe not in the way you imagine, maybe not on the timeline you want, but in some form they always circle back. Because detachment doesn't only change them, it transforms you. It shows them you were never ordinary. It proves to them, painfully and beautifully, that you were the one they cannot replace. Remember this truth. They can distract themselves with 10 different people, but detachment guarantees one truth. Every road they take leads back to you. Write it in the comments right now. They always return. Say it with conviction. Claim it with certainty. Because your silence, your patience, your strength, it's already rewriting the story in your favor. And so, my friends, here's the truth we've uncovered. Detachment is not weakness. It's power. You don't become forgotten. You become unforgettable. You don't lose them, you become the ghost that haunts them, the unresolved story they can't put down. Every path they take, every distraction they chase, sooner or later, it all leads back to you. That is the strength of silence. That is the gift of patience. Now, if this message lit a fire in you today, make sure to press that like button, subscribe for more, and share this with someone who needs the reminder. Stay strong.